your speakers because we are in the most insane sounding car I have ever driven. This is the 2023 Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 RS. It'll be my very first time driving a Porsche RS car of any type, and to say I'm excited would be a massive, massive understatement. So let's get right into it. This car has a starting MSRP of $149,000 here in the US. This particular car has been fitted with the Weissach package, front axle lift, and a few other creature comforts that bring the total MSRP up to $176,000. Now that's all kind of a moot point because most people have been paying massive markup for these cars, $50,000, $75,000 even. So is this a $220,000 to $250,000 driving experience? That's what we're going to find out when I start pushing it on this canyon road. So the RS is powered by the same 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6 that's found in the 992 GT3, but since this car is mid-engine and the GT3 is rear engine, the exhaust system has quite a bit more piping, and as a result, we've lost 9 horsepower. So we're at 493 horsepower, and torque is down as well to 331 pound-feet. This car is pretty lightweight at just over 3,200 pounds with a 7-speed PDK transmission. The RS also gives us shorter gearing as well as a 4.17 final drive compared to the regular GT4's 3.89. I've been daily driving this car for the past couple of days, and at 70 miles an hour in 7th gear, I'm actually just above 3,000 RPM, which is quite high for a 7-speed. We have scoops and vents and ducts all around the outside of this car, not just for improved aerodynamics. We do get 25% more downforce than a regular GT4, but also enhanced cooling. We have a huge front splitter, aero curtains to the left and right of that front bumper, vents on the front fenders, NACA ducts on the hood, and just behind the doors, typically where you would have the air intakes for the engine, those have been repurposed purely for engine cooling. Where you would typically find the rear quarter window in a regular GT4, those have been repurposed for these amazing carbon air inlets, which suck air into the carbon air box, which is visible right behind me. And it's those inlets that produce the most intoxicating and insanely loud induction note I have heard of any car ever. So that's enough talk. I'm sure you guys are just dying to hear this car in action. So let me oblige. Now the startup and idle sound of this RS, it's very rough. You hear all sorts of whirs from the engine, not the most pleasant or smooth engine at low RPM. This thing really wants to be up towards its 9,000 RPM redline. We're gonna put it into manual mode. We'll leave the dampers in the normal setting, and then we'll open up that exhaust valve. Let's see what all the hype is about. Speechless. We don't have the Porsche carbon ceramic brakes on this car. We just have the standard steel brakes. And they feel good, but carbon ceramics definitely feel a little bit better. What can I say? What can I say about this car? Hold on. I just need to drive it for a couple more minutes before I try to collect my thoughts. The sound is just completely all-consuming. It dominates the experience of this car. And that's not to say the rest of the car isn't absolutely incredible, because it is. But oh my God, that sound. It is just intoxicating. That high-pitched induction note from 8 to 9,000 RPM is just outrageous. And it feels like it's 1 inch behind your ear, because it basically is. Listen to this. Those downshifts and the front end, it's sharp all right. This changes the game for me. Out of 250 plus cars I've reviewed, this thing is absolutely insane. All right, let me try to explain what I just experienced. Outside of the ridiculous engine sound, the things I noticed: absolutely instant response when I touch that throttle pedal, and it responds in a very precise way. There are many layers to the throttle input that you can use to your advantage to get the engine to do exactly what you want. Very high fidelity, I guess would be the right term. Steering is also pinpoint precise. The ratio is not overly quick. It's just right. I really don't like cars that have super quick steering ratios, like the new G82 M4 Competition as an example, because it just removes that level of fine-tuning that would otherwise be at your disposal when you attack corners. Suspension tuning is absolutely on point. I cannot say enough good things about the way Porsche has tuned these dampers. My understanding is that the actual damper hardware itself is the same as the regular GT4, but they've been retuned to go along with the much higher spring rates of the GT4 RS. I think the front spring rate is actually double. And boy, is it effective. This car just stays so flat and composed. It soaks up every single bump on the road, but it always communicates what it's doing through the chassis. I can feel every little pebble, every little crack on the road. Like right there. The standard steel brakes feel really good, as you'd expect for 6-piston front, 4-piston rear calipers with 16-inch rotors up in the front. I mean, yeah, they get this car stopped really well, but there's a level of solidness to the brake pedal that I was used to with Porsche carbon ceramic brakes and some other cars that I've driven, and I don't quite get that experience here. That being said, for track work, the steel brakes are the ones you want because they're way cheaper to replace. Let me shut up for a sec. Straight line pull, exhaust valve open. Oh my God. What? How is that even possible? How is this even legal? The actual performance of this car in a straight line is actually super impressive as well. You would think 493 horsepower, naturally aspirated, not that much torque, not a super accelerative car, right? That's not the case at all, because this car only weighs around 3,200 pounds, and crucially, because this 7-speed PDK is geared so short, the acceleration is actually pretty brutal. 0 to 60 in around 3 seconds, quarter mile at 11.3 seconds. I mean, those are Nissan R35 GTR numbers. And when that car came out, everyone said it was the most insanely accelerative car they've ever experienced, short of a Bugatti Veyron. So this car doesn't lack power whatsoever. In fact, they've given it just the right amount of power. And I know I've said this about the 718 GT4, but now having experienced the RS, this is the right amount of power for this car and with this gearing. I think with the standard GT4, it feels quick enough for a canyon road, but at times, especially because of the gearing, you feel like you're just kind of outside the power band, and the acceleration isn't maybe what you'd expect for around $130,000+. But this car delivers everything to your expectations and beyond. The PDK is absolutely perfect. I know I had it in manual mode, but if you keep it in auto and use PDK Sport, which I've tried, this transmission will downshift as you brake into corners. It'll always give you the right gear. It'll feel like you're essentially driving it in manual mode yourself. But where's the fun in that? These paddles feel super high quality. They have a very nice actuation. Or you can throw this manual-esque shift lever into manual mode, pull to upshift, push to downshift. The exhaust is insane. It drones very badly on the freeway if you have the valve open, but with the valve closed, it's actually perfectly livable. As I said, I have been daily driving this car for a couple of days, and with everything in the most serene setting, normal suspension, quiet exhaust, etc., the car actually rides really well. I have no problems with it over broken pavement and on the freeway. My only couple of gripes with daily driving this car, these Porsche bucket seats, I just wish they weren't mounted so upright. And the other thing that hinders daily drivability is the absolutely insane amount of tire noise. There is so much tire noise at 70 miles an hour. We are on Michelin Cup 2s after all, so that's to be expected, especially since this car has less sound deadening than the standard GT4. It's an RS. It's not meant to be daily driven. I'm fine with that. The things that they've done to make this car feel so sharp are well worth any trade-off in daily livability. The front end feels so good, but it is not the highlight of the car. Even though Porsche has taken some of the rubber bushings out of the suspension from the GT4 and fitted in spherical bearings, the way this car responds so instantly to my steering input, definitely a step above, but there's still just a hint of understeer. My favorite second gear hairpin back there, I did feel understeer. A little bit surprising. I can't help but think, what if this had the double wishbones from the 992 GT3, and what if the front tires were a little bit wider? We're only on a 245 front. But that being said, I am going to actually do another hard canyon drive of this car in a comparison video against a 991.2 GT3 manual. So stay tuned for that video. I am so stoked to do that comparison because I can honestly say that between this and the 991.2 GT3, those are my absolute two favorite modern sports cars. Because I think the 991.2 manual actually sits at the very top of my Zygrene Performance Index ranking sheet right now. So I'm super curious to try this back to back with that GT3 and see which one truly is the best car I've ever driven. So a big shout out to Yitao and Yue, the co-owners of this GT4 RS and that 991.2 GT3, by the way. They're absolute legends. Let me know what you think of the 4 RS. Is it worth $176,000 as spec'd plus 50K, 75K markup? I've been seeing these on the used market asking anywhere from $250,000 to $270,000. Stay tuned for that comparison coming up very soon, and I'll see you in the next one.